CYCLES, because it's a nice acronym, it's not about cycling, it's Children and Youth in Cities, Lifestyle Evaluations and Sustainability. And it's a project which is part of the Centre for the Understanding of Sustainable Prosperity, which is a 5-year interdisciplinary research centre funded by the ESRC, based here at Surrey, in which I'm leading a stream of work which is about societal understandings of good life. So we've got a number of projects, all of which ask questions about what does it mean to people to live well, what does a good life constitute, and is it possible to live well and sustainably in different contexts, different times of life, in different settings. And this project focuses specifically on young people in cities. But it's not a project that we kind of thought up within Custom, it's a project which had a longer kind of life of its own. And we've been working with Bromley Haywood for a number of years on this project. In fact, Sue and I had some funding with Bromley, had some funding from the United Nations Environment Project back in 2014 to develop a methodology for what's gone on to become this project. But when we applied for the funding for the ESRC Centre, we put the CYCLES project in it, and we have received funding from the ESRC to do fieldwork in 2 cities, one in the UK and one in New Zealand. So, but we've expanded the study to now involve 7 cities. So it's Bronwyn's project really. She's leading the project, and we're doing field work in London. But I think it's fair to say that we've taken quite a strong lead on ethical and data management issues, particularly Sue has, and as we've been involved in starting shaping the methodology. So the questions we're asking is: what does a good life mean for young people? What matters most to them in their diverse urban lives, and what constrains and enables their capabilities to achieve what they want in sustainable ways? But those are incredibly sort of abstract, broad questions, and we're approaching it through a focus on everyday consumption in 5 domains. So looking at a day in my life, looking at how I get about in the city, looking at food, looking at aspects of home life, educational work, and leisure. I'm trying to understand issues about everyday consumption, taking that as the basis for discussions about what everyday life is like, what are the joys, what are the challenges. I just want to say a bit about the partners and the kind of organisation of this, because I think this is really important in shaping some of the discussions and challenges and issues that we're having, and really positive things as well that we're experiencing at the moment. So. Only Bromley, what's funded through this is research in New Zealand, research in the UK, and then also research in Bangladesh, which is funded through a PhD studentship, which is part of the research centre. So the researchers in the other 4 cities are doing this kind of voluntarily, really, and they are people who Bromley already had existing relationships with and has been able to build relationships with. So there's an ongoing relationship of trust and friendship, if you like, between us. But they're people in a variety of different kinds of organisations. So Vim Nendujar in New Delhi, he runs an NGO which is it's youth-led, but it's working with economically disadvantaged kids, and it's around young people's empowerment and environmental improvement. So it's a very kind of activist role. And Helia Matar in Sao Paulo runs an NGO which is about sustainable lifestyles and sustainable consumption, so it's campaigning and awareness raising NGO. So we've got organisations who've got and individuals who come to this project with different kinds of backgrounds, different understandings and different expectations of what the project will realise and how it will fit into what they're already doing. So we've been able to provide small amounts of funding to pay for partners to come together for a meeting and subsequent meetings. And we've also provided small amounts of funding to fund actual fieldwork expenses, but the other researchers aren't paid, so that's a kind of interesting sort of dynamic that's going on. So the project's got 3 phases essentially. The first phase was a kind of background desk-based report. So researchers in all cities collated local information to provide a kind of introduction to the context for young people living in their cities, so drawing largely on government reports and other such things, so looking at things like what's housing like for young people, what are the issues with food, are there issues with sanitation, water, and those kinds of things. And we put that information together into a report which we published and launched, but it was also an opportunity for the teams to come together and to actually develop and plan the next phase of research, which is what we're working on now. And it's been very useful, I think, that process as well, for us all to understand a bit more about the context in which each other were working, and the particular challenges for young people in those different settings, but also to come together to begin to see issues which, although experienced very differently, are issues for young people in all the cities. So issues of inequality within cities in relation to health, green spaces, equal opportunities, access to education and employment, and well-being. The issue of mental well-being being a particular kind of theme which comes across in many of the different cities. So the second phase is really what we're working on now and what I want to talk about today. We called it, and this is what was kind of agreed at the start, which we all kind of agreed we were doing, and it's been called for quite a long time the idea of a day in my life. So this part of the project involves focus groups, first of all, with groups of young people of different ages, to introduce the project and to talk to them about aspects of life within their cities, and to introduce the photo task to them. So they then were either using a mobile phone or using a disposable camera, depending on age and whether they had the technology. Went out and we told them to take photographs that represented aspects of everyday life in terms of things like transport and food and so on. And then in the second group, they'd come back together with those photographs and discuss them. So that's why I was interested in exactly how Robert managed that process, because that's one of the things that we're going to deal with now. And there's also going to be a survey developed which builds on some of the kind of qualitative information we get from the focus group, so I'm not going to talk about that today. So I just want to talk about this Day in My Life project and how it's panning out. So in terms of trying to deal with ethics for a project like this, it's tricky, because obviously there are kinds of, we want to have some sort of uniformity about agreement about basic ethical principles, about how we deal with young people, how we deal with data management, but at the same time we need to be sensitive to the very different situations that there are in the different contexts, and also the different relationships that the researchers have to kinds of ethical governance, if you like. So they're not all within universities, some of them are working with young people every day and doing things like this as part of their jobs anyhow. So we developed some ethical guidance based on UNICEF's guide for the ethical research involving children, and then we asked each of the partners to to agree to these things. So, for example, that participants' contributions would be anonymous, that pseudonyms would be used for participants throughout, and we decided, and this is quite UK and New Zealand based really, that participants would be encouraged not to take photos of people's faces, because we were obviously aware of issues around consent and anonymity and so on. And participants in the research were asked to consent to their data the conversations being recorded and used as data, and also for us to be able to use the images that were produced in publications and exhibitions, but there wasn't an expectation that the images themselves would be analysed as data. We've got a bespoke, high-tech but easy tech in a way, solution to managing international data sharing set up, and then different teams had to do different things in terms of ethics. So we've had to go through the University of Surrey Ethical Committee for permission to do the research, and the team in New Zealand had to do that. And South Africa was also based within a university, and Bangladesh too went to the New Zealand university where that PhD was based. But the researchers in Brazil and in India didn't go through any kind of extra ethical process apart from agreeing to these principles, and apparently in Japan as well, they didn't have to go through an ethics committee. So there's different levels of governance. Okay. And also, once you go through an ethics committee, if any of you know this, it's a very long process and things change along the way. And different ethics committees have asked for different kinds of changes in terms of what's acceptable in that context. Okay, so this is hopefully they're actually getting to talk about it. So the first thing around taking, sharing, discussing photos. So our assumption at the start was that young people were going to take these photos. And then they would be brought back for discussions. And fairly early on, it became clear that in Bangladesh, this wasn't something which the researcher felt could be done. But for two reasons, I think it was to do with whether or not people would have the technology to take photographs, and also whether or not, particularly for girls, whether it would be culturally acceptable for them to be out taking photographs. So he decided that what he was going to do was use drawing. So it immediately becomes, quite a different kinds of activity. And quite different kinds of product in terms of an image. And I don't know how that's going to pan out or how that will work, but that's kind of one change already. And then we also always had this idea of a day in my life, but so as some of the partners began working with young people, they became, the participants themselves suggested that what they wanted to do was to take pictures together, that they didn't want to take their individual pictures and kind of show them. They wanted to go together and choose what was a good thing in their city or what was not a good thing. And they also, in India, have been using a photographer or somebody who's gone out with a camera to take pictures of the things which the young people direct them to. So it begins to become a quite different project, or maybe not different, but just the production of the images is happening differently. In terms of technology, we obviously knew from the start that not everyone would have access to mobile phones. Perhaps we overestimated how familiar both research partners and participants would be with, in some countries, with aspects of how phones could be used. So we've had challenges of whether people know how to send images via WhatsApp without locations being on them, and whether partners were able to upload images from WhatsApp to our secure cloud storage. We thought that when people didn't have mobiles and we were giving them disposable cameras, there'd be some sort of stigma attached to it. But what actually we're finding is that young people are kind of fascinated, or especially in the younger groups, by the technology of disposable cameras. Some of them have never seen it before and are kind of sort of really intrigued by this idea that you go and take pictures and then you have to wait a week to see what they look like. And Sue, in the first group she did last week with some kids in Lambeth, she gave them all a stamped addressed envelope, so the camera back. But this morning she received the stamped addressed envelope with just the instructions in it. So I think maybe they're going to turn up at with the camera and say, now give me my photos. We did try to pilot it, but obviously you can't kind of work out all the issues. Issues around WhatsApp. We chose to use WhatsApp as a way for participants to share photos with us because it's a secure way of an individual to share their photos with the researcher. One of the things that two problems we've kind of encountered with this. In New Zealand, the New Zealand team weren't allowed to use WhatsApp because it's been considered to be too private, because there was some scandal there where a politician was sharing inappropriate images with an underage child. So researchers in New Zealand, or at least in Christchurch, they're not allowed to use WhatsApp. So that's why something different. We also we encountered the age restrictions, or the guidance on age restrictions for WhatsApp changing during our ethics process. So we were initially going to be using WhatsApp with all the kids who are over 14 if they had phones in this country, but it turns out now that the guidance is over 16. So we've had groups of 14, 16-year-olds where some of them could be using mobiles and some could be using disposable cameras. Data sharing as well. In some ways, we've set up this really secure cloud, but people are very used to emailing photos to each other. And within the research team, it's been quite tricky to try to encourage people to actually use the secure storage that we've got and not to just share pictures by email, because there's so much kind of familiarity in doing things in that way. I was interested in what Robert said about how to discuss photos in the group, because I think that's one of the things actually managing that discussion can be a challenge. Okay, content and authorship of images. So this whole kind of issue of what is it that people are taking photographs of, and what is it they want to take photographs of. And quite early when partners began to kind of think about the project in tandem with talking to young people, this issue of the potential shame in international comparison came up as an important issue. So young people themselves are kind of really acutely aware of issues of inequality and being part of an international project. How is my life going to look in comparison to the life of somebody from the UK? Okay, how are these people in London or New Zealand going to see my food or my home? I'm feeling kind of uncomfortable about potentially being seen within that context. So there's kind of ethical issues really about managing feelings of kind of shame or embarrassment for young people, and also, I guess, working with people like Vim who are very much about empowering young people. An unwillingness perhaps to kind of participate in that way, and a desire to take control of what the images were that were being presented, and then beginning to focus more on taking pictures that gave a positive image of life locally, something to celebrate. So beginning to shift perhaps what it was that's actually being taken in the first place. And it then means that there's potentially some sort of unevenness across the project in terms of kinds of images that are being produced. The top two are actual images that were produced by the Japanese team in a pilot study, which follow the kinds of regulations that we came up with at the start. The second one isn't a picture from our project, but it's a picture of citizen journalism kind of photographic group, and maybe the kinds of things that some of the other groups are going to want to take pictures of. How do you deal with that? And immediately you've got these issues of anonymity. People are taking pictures of people and places, so those kinds of ethical guidelines we had at the start, we'll have to think about what we do with that. If those are the images they want to share, how we deal with that when we're bringing the work together. And there's also really key issues about authorship, which I'm sure other people in visual methods come up across the whole time. That one of the things we're going to do with this part of the project is we're having one of the outputs is going to be a day when we bring the partners together, and it's a kind of engagement and knowledge sharing day. It's open to the public, and we, as well as talking, we want to exhibit some of these pictures. And as soon as partners start telling the young people involved that the work's going to be exhibited, they begin to see it as a kind of, this is a work of art, it's a reflection of me. And for people in various different places, they've seen the opportunity to show their pictures in London is seen very differently from, we were initially thinking these are pictures which we use to elicit conversation and perhaps to illustrate our work, but they want to have the pictures attributed to them and seen as their work. So it goes to these kind of interesting issues here. What are the boundaries between a research project and a photographic project? And if there's a shift of focus from the pictures being a kind of means just to elicit conversation, and they become more, it becomes more about groups of people taking photographs which represent aspects of their lives. Is there a shift from photo elicitation to citizen journalism? And certainly in some of the projects, that's the kind of shift they sort of want to make, because perhaps arguing that photo elicitation can be sometimes somewhat extractivist, that it might be seen as a method by which, as researchers, we try to extract knowledge from participants, what perhaps isn't quite as empowering as it makes out. So this is something we need to kind of think about.